Hi, my name is Sam Sandoval. I'm a faculty and a cooperative extension specialist here at UC Davis. So today we're going to be talking about SGMA, or the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. So SGMA, or the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, is a legislation that passed because, to manage groundwater sustainably after the 5-year drought that we had in our state. Okay, so this legislation, it doesn't talk about what sustainability is, but it mentions what is not. So basically, it refers to the legislation tries to prevent that 6 undesirable results happen. So let me explain to you what are those 6 undesirable results. Undesirable result number 1, chronic lowering of groundwater levels. So as we have seen, as we keep extracting water out, basically all those groundwater, all those water levels can go down. So what this legislation is trying to prevent that. Through time, the water table under the aquifers that we're withdrawing will go or will continue to go down. Second undesirable result. That is referred to unreasonable reduction of groundwater, or in this case, groundwater overdraft. What does that mean? It means that the water that is recharged in that more water is taken out of the aquifer than the water that is recharged into the aquifer. So, yeah, it's just preventing that the recharge is less than the groundwater extraction. Undesirable result number 3, seawater intrusion. So, in some of our groundwater basins throughout the coast, more water is actually taken out of the aquifer than the water that is being recharged. What that is provoking is to allow all the water from the seawater intruded or moving into our aquifers. This is something that this legislation is preventing. So as the water levels are reducing and more water is extracted, water from the sea is moving into our groundwater aquifers. Point number 4, avoiding land subsidence. As we have seen, as we are extracting more water out of the ground, that water is leaving empty space. Because we have a large water column of soil that is actually quite heavy, all that weight is actually compacting all those empty spaces that are there and all that soil, doing some provoking some land subsidence. This is mostly happening in the south part of the San Joaquin and the Tulare Basin. but it can happen in other places. Undesirable result number 5, degradation of groundwater quality. So basically, what this point number 5 is talking is that the water that is recharged, it has to be clean, so it will not degrade all the water that is already in the aquifers. And finally, at least but not last, point number 6 is basically to prevent the depletion or the interconnection of surface water and groundwater resources. As we have seen, rivers and aquifers are always connected. It's just a matter of time, but they are connected. So what this legislation is preventing is that these two get disconnected. So we know that originally the surface water and groundwater is connected. What this legislation is trying to prevent is that as you're extracting more water and the water levels are reducing, that these two, surface water and groundwater, get disconnected. Okay, so this is what the legislation is basically trying to avoid. Now, so what does it mean for every Californian? Number 1, basically, it will have 3 main pieces that have to be implemented so you know how to participate in this legislation. Number 1, a groundwater budget will be created. So this groundwater budget, it will develop a diagnosis to see if any of these 6 undesirable results are happening or not happening in your groundwater basin. Point number 2, an agency, a groundwater sustainable agency, will be created. So that's the one that will implement that legislation. So this agency, the legislation said that ideally it will be from local institutions. Some people will come from the county offices, local irrigation districts, local citizens in your area. So keep posted on that. Now, once this agency is created, how they are going to avoid these 6 undesirable results? Well, they are going to develop a plan. And by developing a plan and finding if there is any of these 6 undesirable results, they will try to keep track and find specific measures so they can avoid any of these 6 undesirable results. So in summary, number 1, we have a new legislation, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. What this legislation is trying is to avoid 6 undesirable results. How is this going to be rolling out for the state of California? Number 1, we're going to have a diagnosis that is called a groundwater budget. Number 2, an agency, a group of people will get together to carry out, ideally locally, to carry out the implementation of the agency. Point number 3, this agency will develop a plan to try to avoid and monitor that none of these 6 undesirable results happen in your groundwater basin. Stay tuned. Thank you.